So this video is going to be hopefully a shorter one. I've basically been using the RZ quite a lot recently. It's been my main camera and I'm really enjoying the resolution on it, the form factor, how everything works. Taking separate light readings isn't a problem for me, and it's just been my kind of go-to camera. But I've then run into the problem of having a camera that's very big, not very portable, and I want something that's just a little bit easier to carry around. I've been doing a lot of searching for kind of the right camera for me, the right sort of everyday camera. I have the Olympus Mu 2, which is a really good camera, but it's somehow image quality is not quite there. And then I've got Nikon FA, obviously, which I love, but is again, image quality isn't quite where I want it to be. So started looking at other alternatives and landed on this, which, if you don't know, this is a Nikon S2. It's rangefinder camera, designed by Nikon obviously before they came out with their SLR cameras, the F series. This was kind of their more entry-level camera, but as you can see, rangefinder. And the interesting thing about this is most cameras your focus is on the lens, which you can do on this, but the other thing with this is you have a little wheel up here, so if you turn the little wheel, that'll focus the lens, and it means that all your controls and everything are basically, this hand will be on the lens sorting apertures, and then you've got this one for focusing, and your shutter speed's here. Well, and then your shutter release is here. And I thought this was great. I thought this was perfect. So pick this up, and I love it. It's such a beautiful object that I just couldn't really say no. The lens on it is a Voigtlander 50mm 2.5 colour scope, and looking into it, this is a lens that is very unusual. Not many were made. I think it's about 700. They didn't do much in this mount. This lens is available in Leica thread mount and I believe Leica M mount, and so it's a more modern lens, and it's so nice. It's really good lens, just because you've got those modern coatings compared to the older lenses which don't have that. The older lenses were designed with mainly black and white in mind, and I've been shooting some colour in this, and this lens performs really well. But I've had it for about 2 weeks and it's just not right. It just doesn't feel right. Holding it, I love, it just feels solid, but I don't take it out and use it. So what's the point? What's the point in having a camera that I'm not going to take out and use? And that's kind of what I've been struggling with for the last little while. One of the main things I say to people at work, because I work at a camera shop, is there's no such thing as the perfect camera. And I say this about everything. I say this about tripods, bags, film stock, everything. People say, oh, what do you recommend? And I always say to them, I preface it by saying there's no such thing as the perfect blank. And I never actually looked at that from my perspective. I've always gone with the camera that I like to use the most, or I've sort of idolised a camera like the Mamiya RZ, and I've just gone with that. But this has really come down to the fact that it's not the perfect camera. The S2 is not the perfect camera. To me, it's a beautiful camera, it's a beautiful object, but it doesn't work for me. I don't know why, it just doesn't work. And that's okay. There's so many more cameras out there that you can easily find something else. There's always going to be something else. There's always going to be another option. There's always going to be another lens combination. It can be a struggle sometimes, but the right camera isn't always the one you have with you. The right camera is just the one that works for you best, to be honest. So what I'm trying to say is, don't buy a camera just because so and so, someone else recommends it, or the reviews are good on it, try the cameras first. Try it. If you can borrow it, then borrow it. Try it for a few days, a week or whatever, and see how you get on with it. Don't just go head first into a system or into a particular camera just because someone said it works for them, because chances are it won't work for you as well. It's a very personal, it's a much more personal thing than a lot of people think, and no camera does everything. Every camera is good at something and then will struggle at something else. I'm filming this with a D750, which, yeah, it does alright video, but it's not great. It doesn't do 4K, but I don't need that. I don't need resolution, so why would I buy a camera that does 4K? I'm just posting videos to YouTube like this. Like, what's the point? And I think you can always get tied up in debates and listening to people what the best camera is, what was the best camera ever made, things like that, and it doesn't exist. It literally, there is no right answer to that question, and I'm gonna do a quick run through of the S2 after this, but it should all, for every person looking to buy a camera, the fundamental is there's no such thing as the perfect camera. There's always going to be something else that does it slightly better or slightly different, or something that's slightly easier to use, and that's okay. Like, spend the time trying to figure out what works for you. When you figure out what works for you, it's going to make your life easier, isn't it? So it's worth it. It's worth the wait to try and find the perfect camera. And if something doesn't work for you, then fine, just move on, because there's no point hoarding cameras. Like, I'm returning this camera because although I love it, I think it's such a nice camera, I don't need it, so why not move it on and let someone else use it that's actually going to use it, which is what it was intended for. So that's kind of my rant thing over, and that's kind of my speech over. But yeah, bear in mind, like, next time there's a camera that you're sort of idolising and you really want, but you've never actually held it, you've never actually tried it, you've only read reviews, think about it. Like, if you can go to a camera shop or whatever and try it, feel it, see how it handles, see what works for you, do it, because it will make so much difference. It's, yeah, just a lesson to be learned, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna do a quick run through of the S2 for anyone interested, and yeah, you can see how that works. But I'll pop up some pictures I took with the S2. I only shot sort of 3 rolls through it, but I just wasn't taking it out, so what's the point? But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. So, camera in question. This is the Nikon S2. Rangefinder, Nikon obviously, and you got a Voigtlander color scope R lens on the front. Let me just take that off. There you go. So Voigtlander color scope R lens, which is 2.5, which I don't have a problem with. It's very nice. But let's run through the basics. So, film advance here. I think I need to wind this on. Yeah. So film advance here. Frame counter here. It's a very similar frame counter to, say, the Leica M2, which is, yeah, it's good. Got your film rewind. You've got a cold shoe, and then you've got a flash port just on the side here. Obviously here's your rangefinder window here, and yeah, very minimalist and very similar to, say, Nikon F, which came out just after this one. Yeah, it's kind of one of the most basic forms of camera. Everything's fully mechanical, there's no electronics in there. It's shutter speed dials here, and with this shutter speed dial, your bottom dial has from a 30th down to bulb. So time, and yeah, if you want to go up to, say, the faster speeds on the upper dial, you turn that to 30, and then whenever this one's past 30, it will be on these speeds on the top, which takes a little bit of getting used to, but works really, really nice. I was rarely ever in the slower speeds, so it didn't really bother me too much. You've got, this is a Nikon accessory which raises the shutter button up, which is nice. It does make a difference. It's kind of like a soft release. I don't think this is a genuine Nikon one, because otherwise this is a bit far back, and the further up does help. But I've found that if I was carrying the camera around, I'd keep knocking this, so I ended up with loads of blank frames on my pictures, which isn't ideal at all. And yeah, lens is obviously apertures at the front, so it's 22 all the way to 2.5, and yeah, the whole mechanism of this is really, really well made. Everything just works. I guess that's because it's a newer lens, probably. Yeah, I don't know when it was made, but it's a relatively modern lens for a very old system. The interesting thing about the Nikon S cameras is the focusing. Most cameras, you see, you've got your focus scale here, and you turn the lens to focus the lens, obviously, and the rangefinder in the window will move across the little patch, and when they line up, that's in focus. It's a simple system. If you've never used one, I recommend trying it, just because it is very different to an SLR, but it's, yeah, one you do have to get used to. With the S range of cameras, you focus with this wheel here, so you see as I turn this wheel, the lens will move. You can go, that's all the way into infinity, and that's to the closest focusing distance, which is 0.9 meters. I found that with just sort of one finger length, I could go from infinity to about 3 or 4 meters, which wasn't too much of a problem, and meant that I could sort of essentially zone focus very, very quickly, which, yeah, I kind of got used to, but I didn't get on with it in the end. I think it's just rangefinder styles, and you can tell by dust on this. I haven't taken it out for probably about a week now, 3 or 4, yeah, probably about a week, and I'd take it out and I just wouldn't use it. Not a factor of there not being a light meter, not a factor of sort of the fiddliness of all the dials and everything, just didn't get on with it, just didn't use it. So yeah, I'm going to be returning it, but yeah, so it's a lovely camera. I really do think it is as an object, it's just so beautiful, just everything about it. And the lens, having the lens, because it's a pretty special lens, to be honest. I think there was only ever 700 made. They didn't make many in this fitting. From someone that's interested in cameras, it's really, really nice. Very well made. The film back, I've got a roll of film here at the moment, so I can't show you, but the film back opens the same way the Nikon F does, which is this latch here. Lift it up, turn to open, and then the whole back slides off, and you load your film that way. It's very simple to do, to be honest. It's not too much of an issue, but can be a little bit fiddly if you've never done it before. But yeah, I'll put up some pictures now, and you can have a look through those. But yeah, go back to what I was saying. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect camera. There's always going to be something else that does the job. There's always going to be a different system, different camera that does essentially the same things but in a different way, and yeah, that's okay. Take the time, figure out what works for you, go with what works for you, not with what people say is the best camera. So yeah, I'll leave it there, put up some pictures, hope you enjoy them. Thank you for watching, like, share, subscribe. If you've got any thoughts, put them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.